Let me read to you a passage from the 15th chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 12 to 17. It's the Gospel for Friday after the 5th Sunday of Easter. St. John writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learnt from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last. Then the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. This is my command, love each other." That's from John chapter 15, verse 12 to 17. Love each other. It is well known that the Christian religion emphasizes love for neighbour. So obvious is this that in the popular imagination, being a Christian, or being a very Christian sort of person, means being concerned for those in need and doing something significant about it, even at great personal cost. To say of a person that he is a real Christian popularly means that he is a person who cares for those in need. All across the globe, Christians and Christian bodies are active in the compassionate service of the needy, with numerous hospitals, educational institutions, systems of care for the abandoned and hopeless. In much of the popular mind, Christ has been overshadowed by his own teaching on care for the needy, which is universally accepted as commending itself to the moral sense of man. Some have been led to think that this manifest and prominent feature of the teaching of Jesus Christ and of the Christian religion is its most peculiar element, in the sense that it is this, that if anything, in this it is unique. This is where Christ's special usefulness to mankind lay. But no. To begin with, this had been a major emphasis of the revelation contained in what the Christian calls the Old Testament, the law, the prophets, the Psalms and the writings. When Christ was asked, "What is the great commandment of the law?" he answered by quoting from the Torah, "To love God with all your heart." He then threw in a second great commandment, but not the first, which is like it. "You shall love your neighbour as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets." Matthew chapter 22, verse 35 to 40. The prophets inveighed against ritual and sacrifices to God which neglected the poor and perpetrated injustice. Apart from that revelation granted to the patriarchs, the prophets, and to the chosen people, culminating in the revelation granted to man by Jesus Christ, there have been other great teachers of love for others. Confucius taught the ideal of goodness, and benevolence was one of the four fundamental virtues. It was the characteristic trait of the good man. Mencius, the illustrious teacher of Confucianism, has the notable statement that benevolence is man. When a disciple asked him for a guiding principle for all conduct, he answered, "Is not mutual goodwill such a principle? What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others." The moral law that was revealed by God to his chosen people, and by Jesus Christ, the Son of God made man, was not unique and new in every respect. Indeed, perhaps not in most respects. I refer to the moral law. It is the highest statement of what man is required and called to do, but it has parallels here and there in other religious teaching and thought. There have been masters who had valid hits when the yardstick is taken to be that provided by Jesus Christ. As explained, Confucius and his disciples insisted on a deep benevolence. Not long after Confucius, Buddha appeared on the scene with his doctrine designed to lead man out of misery into nirvana, to cultivate benevolence towards men of all classes, to avoid anger and physical violence, to be patient under insult, to return good for evil. All this was inculcated in Buddhism and helped to make it one of the gentlest of religions. Again, in the face of the polytheism of his surroundings, Muhammad insisted on one God. There are no gods but one, Allah, and Allah requires justice and mercy towards others. All of this brings us to our gospel passage I read earlier from John chapter 15, verse 12 to 17. Jesus said to his disciples, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command." What Jesus Christ brought was the fulfillment in himself and in his teaching of the revealed law and the prophets. In respect to the second great commandment, to love one's neighbour as oneself, he brought a new standard, a new motive, and a magnificent possibility of achieving it. The standard for Christ's disciples, for those who know that he is God the Son made man and Saviour of the world, is his own love for them and for all those for whose salvation he died on the cross. As St. Paul writes, though he was in state and glory and condition divine, he did not cling to his glory, but gave it up, and became as men are, and lowlier still, even to death on a cross. All this he did for love of us. At the Last Supper, he, whom his disciples called Master and Lord, washed their feet and instructed them to do the same to one another. He sets forth the standard of love, and he himself is that standard. Christ's disciples are to look on him as the embodiment of love for others and the exemplar, and all nations are called to be his disciples. Christ is the model of charity for all mankind. He transcends Confucius, Buddha, and all. But there is much, much more than this. The good news is that Christ, our exemplar, is also our Saviour. That is to say, by his great sacrifice of himself, he has atoned for the sin of the world, broken its power, and has given to all who accept him in faith the power to become children of God by a new birth. They are able, by his grace, that grace stemming from faith and baptism, to grow in the love that he himself manifested to the heights. They share in his life of divine love by grace as God's gift. This is the breakthrough, and it involves entry on the path to true holiness. In this is Christ and the religion he revealed and founded truly unique. It is only by his name that we are saved.